Gasper, how come you want the Red Sox to stand pat or sell?
Ooh. Well, I mean, you're overselling it a little bit. It's not like that's what I want them to do. Like anybody following the team, I want the team to be good. That's more enjoyable. But if I take the emotion out of it, I can understand where they would not feel compelled to invest in this team. And I think people like yourself and Ken Rosenthal are overstating the situation based on a team that's 6 games over 500 and at one point was 7 games over 500 in late June. Look, we've seen this before. It amazes me how short the memories are around here. It's like all of a sudden this team being 6 or 7 games over 500, it's the impossible dream all of a sudden out of the blue. Look, last year, the team was 9 games over 500 on July 28th. Now, we can debate as to whether Chaim Bloom should have done something or not. He felt they were underdogs. They were only a game and a half out of the third wild card. They didn't do anything. They ended up finishing in last place. In 2022, the team was off to a much better start than this start. They were 11 games above 500 on June 26th and in possession of the first wild card. Not a half game out of the third wild card like they are now. They were in possession, clear possession of the first wild card on June 26th of 2022. Where did that team finish? They ended up finishing in last place. So they've had good Junes before. That doesn't mean that the team is an actual contender and automatically worthy of investing in. I think overall with the Red Sox, I think it's much more likely. This is not my opinion. This is what I'm saying, reading the tea leaves. I think it's much more likely that they are going to look at this and say, we like the progress of the players, like Jarren Duran and Tanner Houck, but we still don't feel the overall progress of the team is worth investing in and worth disrupting our plan and worth being able to part with any of the prospects that even remotely show promise that we have. Because when you talk about improving the team, it's not just in a vacuum. It's not like free agency where it's like spend money. If this were the offseason, I'd be with you guys. Spend money. Spend. But now to improve your team during the season and make a trade, you have to give something up. You're going to have to give up prospects or players already on the team. And I don't think they're good enough to warrant that. And I don't think that they're good enough to a point where you want to disrupt that and disrupt their timeline of being an actual real contender, not slipping in with this third wild card.
All right, Chris, 2 quick things, because I just got a text coming in from Tony Mazz who says, please tell Gasper he repulses me. That's a real text from Mazz.
That's good.
And so you'll get this reference, Chris, I hope. You've seen Office Space, right?
I have.
So when I say I believe Alex Cora is now acting like Peter from Office Space, he's gone full F this. I'm going to call out upper management because I got a little leverage. In Peter's case, he had the deposit scam. In Cora's case, he's got 1 foot out the door. He can expose these cheap frauds. Wouldn't you at least want this collision course to continue? Again, like, I'm no Red Sox supporter at this point, but I like what Cora's done and how he's talking in recent weeks. You just want Breslow and the owners to say, the hell with it. Like, we're not going to do anything. I just think for that aspect of it. And by the way, the league blows. Like, the American League stinks this year. They actually can do something and maybe make a little bit of noise.
Oh man, Mr. Asterisk thinks the team's going to the World Series now in the fall. Are you kidding me? Oh wow, this is the guy who's whipping out the asterisk for like actual teams. Now all of a sudden they're going to the World Series because they're a half game behind the Royals. I said this the other night on BST with Felger and Holly. And I'm sure this will come back to bite me and I'll get put in sports jail or whatever, like with the Celtics take. But I'm going to say this. I strongly believe Houston or Texas will finish ahead of the Red Sox in the standings.
Okay, so
when it's all said and done.
So that's a reasonable opinion. Sorry, go ahead.
But what if you're wrong? No, but so
I'm not wrong.
Because you or some projection has them finishing behind a team. You then don't invest in the team?
Shame.
Your team stinks. I think between me, Craig Breslow, and ChatGPT, we've all determined that the team is not worth investing in.
What's the point of watching the games and having a season then? If your projection says they're not going to be, we're not going to win anything anyway. Like, I hear that all the time. So we're not going to win anything anyway. Oh, well, then why are you bothering watching the games?
Because you watch for the players. You watch to see Tanner Houck develop, Jarren Duran, Costas come back. You watch to see the growth of the team. I'm not saying they're not growing. They are growing. It's been a positive season. But this idea that you should deviate from the plan all of a sudden because you're 6 games over 500 in June, I don't get it. I mean, look, check back with me in a month. maybe I'll feel differently. But they still have another month to go. 6 games above 500 in June, and you're ready to break out the duck boats, basically? Like, what are we doing?
So, Chris, if not now,
believing,
when?
Having fun, watching sports, following a team. That's what I'm doing.
Well, baseball doesn't allow that anymore. It's all one giant math. Hey, you know what? Joe Mazzulla is right. Felger, to win a championship, it takes effort and math.
See, Chris, where I think you're totally wrong about this is you say this is not the time. I do think this is the time to start investing in the big league club, to start to get a couple veterans in here to help these young players, because you say, well, don't ruin the plan. You've got all these prospects. Eventually, you're going to run out of room for these prospects. Chris, in 3 months, you're going to have 6 middle infielders for 2 spots: Story, Meyer, Hamilton, Grissom, Valdez, York. And you don't want to trade any of those guys to make this year's team better, to get them to the playoffs, to try to do that. You want to just hold on to them forever and ever and ever. If not now, when?
Yeah, it's a fair point in terms of the prospect surplus. At some point, they're going to have to start distilling these prospects. I'm with you on that, McCarthy. And that's fine. And look, if they were to make a trade at this point and they got, let's say it's Jesus Luzardo or somebody like that from Miami who has some term on his contract and it can help them because they need pitching, that's fine. But to do some sort of rental move for this team at this point, I'm not sold on it. And I hope they spend when they get to the offseason and can improve the team that way or make a big trade. But to make some move for this year's version of, Jordan Montgomery at the trade deadline and give something up for that, I just don't think they're good. And I hear you on the middle infield thing, but I also look at it and I watch a team that's trotting out Emmanuel Valdez at second base, who, he basically has the range of my elderly dog at this point. So they still have to figure out, who's really going to help this team. And some of those prospects, yes, they'll fall off. I get it. And if you can switch it out for pitching prospects or young pitching, fine. But I don't put that in the category of like going in to help this particular team make the playoffs. I put that more in the category of advancing the overall plan of building a contender and having a sustainable team.
Yeah, to me, part of the plan should be showing growth at the major league level and advancing a step. I think it's important to build a program and show everybody we're on the right track, and you validate that by going to the postseason. And now everyone believes a little bit more. Never mind your fans who are somewhere in there, somewhere in this calculation, it should be. But you build. It's why I think, for people, I know there's Patriots fans who think they will want them to suck again and get another top 5 pick, which I think is, you want to show growth with your new program and show you're making the next step and get belief inside the building and outside the building and the whole thing, and there's value in that. And even if you're not winning a championship, if you're making the next step and making the postseason for the first time in, what would be 3-4 years, or doing something, there's value in that, and now everyone believes more and everyone has more confidence and all that stuff. Like, that's important, and you get a couple extra weeks of baseball out of it. You get postseason games, which is what it's all about. Like, it disappoints me that more people don't put more value in that. There's something to that.
Well, let me reframe my take a different way. First of all, I'll say I'm all for more weeks of baseball in the playoffs if it turns out that Jim Murray has to go back to the baseball hour.
Oh,
if that's what's happening. Oh, come on, Mr. Baseball. This team could make the postseason and the World Series. Wouldn't you want to be a part of that coverage? You want us to do a couple of remotes? I'll do a remote with you in October if you want to do that, my friend.
Seems very spiteful is what I don't know why you're doing this.
But in all seriousness, let me reframe my take for you guys and see if you like it a little bit better. I don't think they've done enough yet to prove that they should invest. I know you guys disagree with me on that, but that's how I would frame this take for me, is that I don't feel like on June 28th I can say definitively, yeah, I've seen enough from this Red Sox team where they should definitely be buying, and if they don't, it's a disgrace. I think that statement is premature. I think the stuff from Rosenthal is premature, and check back with me in a month. Again, I gave you the numbers of the last 2 seasons. I think you would have felt the same way each of the last 2 seasons.
I did, actually.
I know. Okay, you did. And you can argue, look, you can legitimately argue that maybe if they had done more at those deadlines, that maybe it would have worked out differently. And maybe it would have. But the reality is, I think getting all hot and bothered over them being 6 or 7 games over 500 in June, declaring that they must add because they're in it is a little ridiculous.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Red Sox analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.